All right, let's talk about this. So habang nasa, I don't know, icebergs ako, marami palang mga ice na nagma-melt dito sa Pilipinas in terms of, ito na, bardagulan na. Let's talk about bardagulan in the Philippines. So from afar, I was observing mukhang Tatay Digong has really gone on the offensive and it's really attacking the powers that be for making a plea to his daughter. And now suddenly I'm hearing that medyo bukas na sa ICC yung ating administration. I was like, surprise, surprise!
Nawala ka lang na a few days. Bigla
Yeah, medyo na-escalate na eh. Nag-escalate na. So, in fairness, yung ICC naman hindi ganun kalaki sa Scandinavia. So, you never know. Now, going back to this. So, recap tayo. What's going on here? You think that Duterte has lost it? You think he's totally out, he lost touch with the balance of power on the ground and he's really picking a fight that he cannot win? Or is this just a rant and a froth and it's just gonna go away after a while? He just has to eat his pride eventually and move on.
Yeah. Well, tingin ko napag-usapan natin ito in mga previous episodes mo na yung UNITEAM wala na 'yon, no? As early as last year, nagsimula na mag-unravel. Pero sumabog 'yan during the Tambaluslos at ngayon sumabog uli, no? Mas malaki kaysa sa sabog dun sa refugee camp sa Gaza, no? Yung mas malakas yung pagsabog dito sa intelligence fund. Hundreds of millions, no, ang nawala at least sa budget sa Congress, no, at ibibigay daw sa Coast Guard, no. So nakita natin na itong issue na ito ay talagang tumama tumama ng malaki sa guts ng mga Duterte, no. Hindi ko sinasabi na ginagamit nila ito pang prepare sa kanilang makinarya.
Of course not.
Wala akong sinasabing gano'n. Hindi ko sinasabi na itong confidential fund na ginagamit sa mga safe houses ay ginamit nila para sa mga headquarters. Hindi ko sinasabi na itong confidential fund na dapat ginagamit para sa mga informants ay ginamit nila para sa mga political organizers. Wala akong sinasabing gano'n. Pero nasaktan sila. Nasaktan sila ng gusto. Kaya hanggang ngayon, hindi nila binibitawan. No? At ang problema, yung kanilang pagdepensa, kapos na kapos. No? Si Panelo, si Harry Roque, si Digong, lalong ibinaon si Vice President Sara Duterte.
The buong SMNI coalition.
Imagine mo, inamin ng tatay na ang intelligence fund ay dapat gamitin sa extrajudicial killings. Pero mo, inamin ng tatay na itong intelligence funds ay dapat gamitin para ipapatay si Congresswoman Castro. No? Imagine mo, inamin ng tatay na ito ay ginamit para sa ROTC field trips at saka sa seminars, no, na illegal, no? Imagine mo yung depensa na yan. At ngayon, kung nakita mo,
depensa ba yan, Ronald, or Freudian slip?
Narinig mo, sabi ng
Ronald, depensa ba yan, Freudian slip? So, iba yan.
Baka. Imagine mo, last week, galit na galit si Digong, no? Sabi niya, wala silang respeto sa aking anak. No? Wala silang respeto. Hindi nila ginagalang, no? Kaya nagtatawag ako ng tax boycott. I-boycott ang pagbabayad ng buwis, pamumunuan ko unless mapatunayan ng gobyerno na wala silang corruption. No? Para namang sinasabi mo na yung ulan manggagaling sa lupa imbis na galing sa langit.
Formally. Formally.
Only in the Philippines. 'Di ba? Only in the Philippines na ganyang kalakas ang loob. 'Di ba? Ganyang kalakas ang loob ng mga hipokrito. No? Sigaw ng sigaw si Harry Roque. Itong kongreso, mga hypocrites. Aba? Para nakatingin siya sa salamin habang sinasabi niya yun eh. No? No? Minsan nga, imbitahin mo dito si Harry. No? Sabay-sabay tatlo.
Mahirap na si Harry eh. Last time kasama kami sa Al Jazeera. Excuse me, gumagano siya. Okay. Siyempre jet lag ako, nasa San Diego.
Kaya mo gayahin na. Ulitin mo nga.
Next time na yan. Tingnan mo, sobrang pulang-pula na ako.
Oh
my God. Oh my God.
Diba?
Oh my God.
Nangyayari habang wala ka. Diba?
Oh God.
Nangyayari. Diba? Di ba napag-usapan natin yan, yung statement ni Juan, yung statement ni Vice President Sara Nakita mo, binanata niya yung mga pinopolitika, yung kanyang confidential fund, no? In one paragraph. In next sentence, tumalon siya sa gera sa Gaza, no? Gera between Israel and
Next
Palestine.
episode yan,
Oh,
Ronald. Medyo
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I-park mo
Halimbawa
natin
lang.
yan. Kasi I'm
Halimbawa
gonna
lang.
defend Sarah. I'm gonna say something in defense of Sarah later and you can guess what I'm gonna say. But
Yes, yes.
balikan muna natin ito. No. Okay, ganito. So, both of us have been talking about this unsustainable coalition of convenience, no? Yung
Yeah,
alliance.
yeah.
So this was always this was always unsustainable because there can always be one king, right? And I think
Yeah.
it looks like 2020, 2021 pa lang, Duterte was not appreciating how adept the Marcoses are. I mean, these are OG, right? Gangster, sila yung OG.
Wala siyang believe eh. Wala siyang
Wala siyang
believe
believe, right? In-underestimate niya talaga si BBM, in-underestimate ni Marcoses, but he forgot that these guys are the OG, right? So now na OG sila ng mga OG, mukhang hindi niya na, he's still struggling to come to terms with this new political reality that the OGs are back in power. And once OGs are back in power, they're not gonna allow the newbies, right? The JVs to take over. It's just not gonna work.
Bibigay sa kanila on a silver platter yung
It's not
succession.
gonna happen. Right.
Where do these people come from, no?
We know where they come from. No, but Ronald, ganito, ako naman, I just felt na, I'm not saying wishful thinking, but I was just thinking na, hindi naman siguro ganun ka barangay level si tatay to not appreciate the, not only realignments, but the hierarchical reshuffling that is happening in Philippine politics. But it looks like it's more precinct than wishful thinking, because I think between the two of us, ako medyo skeptical pa rin ako, because I always felt if ideas and ideologies divide the left, what brings the trapos together, the conservative powers together is shared interest. But it looks like even shared interest may not be enough, diba? Because let's look at it. If you look at it, all Sarah has to do is just to keep it nice and cool, and she'll be the front runner for 2028. And BBM, all he has to do is not to pick a direct fight with Duterte or not bring the ICC issue, and he can have it smoothly more or less within the next 4 or 5 years. But it looks like that's not working anymore, no? Because one side is pushing the envelope over and over and over again.
Yeah. Shared interest can only last you so much. In this case, it only lasted until the election. After the election, nakikita mo na yung cracks between GMA and BBM, no? Nakikita mo na yung cracks between GMA and Martin Romualdez as early as after the election. Even with the sister, kapatid na yan, ha? Nagsimula na yung cracks immediately after the election. During the first SONA pa lang Diba, nandun na yung cracks Dahil nga, it's just shared interest. And shared interests are the less powerful basis for unity. Kahit papano, yung political, yung ideological, mas solid yan kahit papano. Mas siopaw yan rather than hot air balloon. No? Pero in this case, sumabog na. No?
In defense of, not in defense of UNITEAM on a moral level, but in defense of the UNITEAM in terms of tactical discussions, akin lang naman kasi, Ronald, I think there were two reasons for Duterte's to be optimistic that the UNITEAM will hold. No, one was they just felt na China will remain a major player in Philippine politics. No, na si Marcos Jr. will probably not be super accepted by the West because of the stigma, etc. So China will inevitably be the patron of Philippine politics, and that's something that the Dutertes are very comfortable with. No, in one way or another, in terms of like the major external partner. The second one is, I think they were also expecting that the never Marcos opposition will remain very, very powerful, or at least very vocal and mobilize for the foreseeable future. So that will essentially box in Marcos. Kumbaga, kung ikaw si Marcos, wala ka ng choice. Hindi ka ganun katanggap ng mga West. Dito, patay ka, inaaway ka ng mga progressives. So you're really left with China and Duterte's, right? I mean, I don't think that assumption was totally out of this world, right? Because I think if someone asked us last March and May, what were your worries? Your worries that BBM will have no choice but to double down on continuing the Duterte line, because he's not going to find acceptance in the West, nor with the opposition and all. And to our surprise, or actually not full surprise, the West has embraced him even more than what I thought, because of course the China element. Precisely because of China, they don't want the Philippines to go down the Cambodia Hun Sen line. But the second one is how the opposition kind of just, I mean, the pink movement kind of just moved out of the picture, right? So we were angry and frustrated with that, in a sense that that's a big opportunity lost. But in a way, there was a blessing in disguise. In a way na BBM suddenly feels comfortable. Like, ay, okay pala tomato. Baka si Marcos.
Tama.
But
Tama
you get what
yan.
I'm saying? You get what I'm saying,
Tama.
Ronald? That
Tama
was
yan, Richard.
that was not inevitable. So I think, ironically, paradoxically, the weakness of the opposition made BBM more comfortable with the more with pivoting away from Duterte's and eventually from. So I call it the bear hug strategy, right? By embracing the BBM, the West, and by semi-embracing the BBM in the part of the opposition, they actually encourage him to move to the other direction, right? It kind of looks like that bear hug strategy work. If I were to put a term, I'll call it the bear hug strategy.
Tama yung sabi
Right?
mo, Richard, yung ikalawang sinabi mo na kung na-harness ng opposition yung 15 to 16 million votes ng pink wave, no? At na-consolidate yung mga basically volunteers na yan, that would have been a game changer for the opposition, no? Yan yung magre-rest ng political capital sa midterm and hopefully sa 2028. Pero hindi nangyari, no? Nasayang. Hindi dahil nag-fizzle out, hindi minaximize, hindi hinarness, hindi kinonsolidate. Kaya yan din yung naging basis kung bakit mabilis nag-unravel yung UNITEAM. Dahil walang threat eh. Kung malakas yung opposition, it would have bound them together eh. Diba? Yun yung kaibahan. Yung bear hug ay tingin ko dapat nakita nila yung writing on the wall. Dapat nakita nila na China wasn't able to deliver, no, nung panahon ni Duterte, kahit pro-China si Duterte. Less than $1 billion out of a $24-25 billion commitment. So, ibig sabihin, lalo na ngayon na mas maraming problema ang China, they cannot deliver. Objectively, ay vulnerable si Marcos na mag-pivot sa West, mag-pivot sa US. Dahil kitang-kita naman eh, how the Chinese weren't able to deliver. No? Yun yung bear hug na yon ay more or less inevitable dahil sa failure ng China. At dahil sa, in a way, the failure of the Duterte government to harness Chinese support. Kung halimbawa kahit kalahati ng commitment ng China pumasok nung panahon ni Digong, halimbawa nagkaroon ka ng fast train, di ba? Nagkaroon ka ng 500 hectare industrial estates sa Clark, di ba? Yung magkakaroon ka ng mga iconic projects which will define the relationship with China. Hindi lamang ng Duterte government kundi ng Pilipinas. Then baka mag-hesitate si BBM na mag-pivot sa West. Pero nung nakita, wala namang i-deliver, wala namang ibibigay. Lalo na nung pumunta siya sa January 6 sa China, no state visit, nakita niya, oh, there's nothing here. Except the two bridges in Manila, no, na rehash lang. Na sinama pa doon sa commitment ng China. Nagbobolahan, naglolokohan. No? So, at that time, pa na yun, no turning back na talagang magpipivot siya sa West at specifically sa US.
Yun nga, and my point, of course, is that was also not inevitable on the part of China, right? If they took the Philippines more seriously, if they played their cards well, if yung makapili, yung mga local experts na kausap nila ay medyo matino-tino, di ba? They wouldn't be in this position because you're absolutely right. I always said, look at Africa. The African Union building is built by China. Huawei City runs all of the big communications.
Yes.
So it's in your face that China is here and helping you. By the way, that was a complete donation last time I checked. So they didn't even make like, I don't know, a new Davao City Hall or like, you know what I'm saying? Wala silang iconic, in your face, we're here to help kind of projects. It was all empty hot air talk. Pogo lang yata pumasok. Baka yung 1 billion na sinabi mo, parang pogo lang yata.
The bridge in Intramuros.
Yung bridge, at saka yung bridge sa Makati na 2 lane, to 4 lane, tapos mag 2 lane. Like, oh my God.
Pero gusto kong defensahan ng konti ang China. Hindi naman problema lang ng China na hindi sila nagpasok ng investment. Nakita naman nila kung anong klaseng gobyerno ito. No? Nakita naman nila kung itong mga scoundrels na kaharap nila. No, sa China kasi, pag yung project mo nag-collapse o naging biktima ng corruption, no, swerte ka na kung ikaw ay makulong. Baka mag-disappear ka na lang. Kaya natakot din eh.
No,
Natakot
no,
din
no, you're being
yung mga investors,
unfair.
no? Baka they might disappear eh, no? Imaginein mo, nag-offer sila ng libo-libong tonelada ng prime rice, no? Ang sabi ng gobyerno, wala kaming lalagyan.
Yeah, you're right.
Tinanggihan, di ba?
You're right.
Tapos meron kang humihingi ng project sa China, ang pakilala niya, Governor of the Visayas, no? A non-existent
Medyo ano yan,
position, no? Yan yung,
ano yan.
pero kilala ko yung gagong yan, no? Kilala ko yun, no? So, ibig sabihin, kung ikaw ang mga
Uy,
Chinese,
baka iba na yung trabaho niya. Governor na siya of Northern Philippines.
wala, nag-disappear na, no? Wala ka nang mabalitaan doon sa Governor of the Visayas.
Nasa Shenzhen na. Sa Shenzhen na. Hindi, Ronald. Come on. The Philippines, and it must not be worse than, I don't know, Rajapaksas of Sri Lanka or like the party in Laos.
Grabe naman yung comparison mo. The lowest of the low naman yun.
Laos, nakukuha ng high-speed railway. Kaso yun nga yung problema, may high-speed railway sila pero saan ka pupunta? It's like having a Lamborghini in the middle of a barangay with nothing, right? Like, so of course malaking question yung sustainability ng ibang projects nila. But yun nga, the Rajapaksas at least got the Hambantuta airport. I mean, and they got the world's emptiest airport built. Nice.
At least Richard, yung Mindanao Rail.
Yun nga eh, kahit Davao City
Mindanao Rail wala na nangyari, di ba? Oo.
So na
Duterte lang ipagmamalaki si Sara at saka si Digong na may nagawa dito. Kahit yun wala eh. Di ba? Ano yung pagmamalaki mo?
So na Duterte si Duterte. na 6 months ka ng China. 6 months na.
Wala akong sinasabi na poetic ha. Wala akong sinasabi
poetic justice.
That they deserve it. Wala akong sinasabing gano'n ha.
Wala akong sinasabi ka. Kaso Ronald, alam mo, ang problema ko dyan sa poetic justice argument na is parang ginusto niyan. Hindi namin ginusto yan. Hindi ka namin binoto si Digong. Ang nagsusuffer ang Pilipinas. Because Ronald, I don't know, probably you also agree with me. Ayoko rin umasa lang sa mga US lang at sa mga ganyang bansa kasi limitado lang mga kuha natin dyan. Diba? Gusto mo naman medyo diversified ng portfolio. I think you and I are the more reasonable guy who are for Chinese investments in the Philippines provided hindi sila questionable and they're quality investments. I think Mahathir had exactly the same thing when I had the interview with him a few years ago. So I think we are for quality Chinese investments, except we got nothing. Not even bad quality, like zilch, nada, like nothing.
Lumalabas pa nga ang foreign direct investment eh. Diba? This year, ilan na lumabas? 30%. Ibig sabihin talagang comparative advantage. Kahit yung iba natin mga friends, mga political analysts, sinasabi, we're doing well. We have a surplus of energy. What surplus? No? Yun yung isang patay ng investors eh.
Ay, kilala ko yung analyst
Where's the source of energy? Yeah. How much is electricity? Di ba? Bumababa ang level of corruption, no? Et cetera, no? Can you say with a straight face, no, na itong 1 year plus ni BBM ay naayos natin yung comparative? Paano papasok yung $90 billion daw na commitment sa mga trips?
Right.
No? Paano papasok kung ganyan pa rin? Kaya sana iwasan ni BBM na maging katulad niya si Digong. Diba? Na walang gustong pumasok, puro commitment.
Na madigong siya sa kabila naman. Sa kabila naman na purong pangako lang. Well, let's see, because this week Prime Minister Kishida will be in the town. I think tomorrow he'll be in the town. And so let's see conversation with Japan. In fairness naman with the Japanese, hindi naman bola yan. Yung subway ginagawa naman.
They've been here. No?
Oo.
They've been here for a long time. Ang tanong ay madadagdagan pa. Because the trip tomorrow is more security.
Yeah. The VFA, ODA, etc.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's a perfect segue for our next episode because we were going to talk about more West Philippine Sea, Japan, China, US, this kind of dynamics. But before I end on this episode, I just want to ask Ronald, how bad do you think this is going to go? Do you think that really there will be more openness to ICC right now as a kind of more than a slap on the wrist of the Dutertes to say, hey, parang hey, reminder lang who's in charge here. Do you think this is going to go down that road or ano lang, patikim lang yan?
Look, Richard, a few months ago, naglabas ng resolution ang Congress at saka Senate to defend Duterte. Di ba? A few
Yeah.
months ago, ang sabi ni Secretary Remulla, no, we will cut links with ICC. Parang hindi pa nag-cut no. No, totally hindi kami sasang-ayon sa kanila, no? Kung sila ay maglalabas ng international warrant to implement here, hindi sila makakapasok. Ano sinasabi ngayon ng DOJ? Ano sinasabi? Pag-aaralan namin itong ICC, etc. Imagine, that's talagang hindi ito line on the sand. This is a chasm. This is a chasm, no? No? At si Duterte is beginning to look at the abyss. And the abyss is looking back, di ba? Sabi nga. So, yan yung mangyayari ngayon, no? Ang tingin ko ay nagkasunugan na ng tulay. Nagkasunugan na ng tulay at paglabas ng international warrant sa early next year ay talagang sabihin ko sana the shit will hit the pan, pero it's worse than that, no? Talagang
aircon. It hits the aircon.
talagang kanyan, no? Rumble, no? Rumble na talaga. Rumble in Davao, no? Kung kukunin nila si Digong, no? Isabay na nila si Kibuloy.
Ayan na. Ayan na. Kamusta mga
pero yung batay sa tanong mo, tingin ko almost point of no return na yan. Unless next itong month na ito ay sa budget hearing sa Senate, ibabalik nila yung hundreds of millions confidential tsaka intelligence fund, or hahatiin nila sa BICAM ng House tsaka Congress. Then parang ibig sabihin minamasahe pa. Kaya hinihintay ko itong budget hearing sa Senate. Kung hindi na yan ibabalik, wala na, sunugan na ng tulayan. No? Hindi yung tulay sa Intramuros, hindi yung tulay sa Makati.
Hindi ito made in China na tulay. Ito ay made in Japan na tulay. Medyo mahirap. Yun nga yung point ko Ronald, kasi parang sense ko is there's still some points of, I won't say reconciliation, but damage control. Like parang, you know what I'm saying? Like, just bring it a notch down. Let's say detente.
Alam mo Richard, hindi naman ganun kabobo si Digong at saka si Sara. Alam naman nila na itong pagtanggal ng kanilang hundreds of millions sa intelligence at saka confidential funds, hindi pwedeng hindi alam ng presidente. Hindi pwedeng walang blessing ng presidente. Ganito ka-fundamental yung issue. Itong usapin sa ICC na nag-o-open ang gobyerno, hindi pwedeng hindi yan alam ng presidente. Hindi pwedeng walang blessing yan. So, I think that is not lost on the Duterte and their camp.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Secretary Llamas, for that. I mean, it looks like we are more or less on the same page on a lot of issues. Again, but yun nga, my sense is you're right. I mean, we kind of ended up where I was suggesting, which is I think you're right that the bridge is burning, but they still can be some sort of fire station guy coming in. I don't know from China or something.
Lalo na pag ang ginamit nilang tubig pampatay ng apoy galing ng Pasig River.
Yan lang. So
talagang mamamatay ang apoy doon sa sobrang dami ng dumi. No, Pasig River. Exactly. So kasama pa yung mga janitorship na nilagay ng mga kuha na naman. Nung mga dispersal ng martial law, pag ginamit na sa amin yung tubig ng Pasig River, naku, takbuhan na kami, walang matapang. Biro mo, bubombahin ka ng tubig galing Pasig River? No, toxic yun.
Thank you very much for that, Secretary Llamas. Let's continue on next episode, final episode. Yung voluntary servitude mo, in fairness naman, it's calibrated kasi 2 weeks na hindi nag-usap na mabuti. Thank you very much, Secretary Llamas.